How you doing? This is Black Shy Guy here. Welcome to another podcast episode. And as always, I hope you are enjoying your week. It is a long freaking week with the involvement of Halloween. I hope everybody was safe. I hope you enjoyed your candies. I hope your kids enjoyed your candies. But most of all, I hope you checked those candies before you allowed your kids to eat it and before you consumed them yourself. As always, there are dangers out there that we are unaware of, and we have to take precautions no matter what, even if it's a holiday to celebrate. I didn't celebrate Halloween this year. Obviously, I did not celebrate Halloween at all this year because my daughter's away with her mom right now, and I just enjoyed Halloween on a day off from work and relaxed. That's all I did is relax. I didn't even provide any candies to the trick-or-treaters. My neighbors did. I didn't. I absolutely did not. I relaxed. I was gaming. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your weekend. I hope the downhill slope of your week goes even better. And as always, I really appreciate the support you have given me throughout this podcast. Make sure you hit the rating on the podcast episode and explain why you enjoyed it, because it also pushes my podcast even further up the chain to be seen by other new members of any podcast local stations. So I would really appreciate you guys do that. As always, I thank you for sitting at my table. Unfortunately, we are here to discuss a situation that is unbearable to most people to listen to, and heinous on top of that. Heinous. And I'm talking about why. This is why situations like this is why a lot of people do not trust authorities, police officers, etc. in the United States. Despite the fact that there are a lot of police officers who are above and beyond good people. Because I have a lot of friends and family that are police officers. This is why I have so much respect for them, because I have a lot of friends and family who are police officers. I have so much respect for them. It's goons like this, it's garbage people like this that makes me throw up in my damn mouth. That ruins the reputations of these good officers we have out there. This is why traffic stop is very difficult, because of goons like this. Because you don't know what type of officer is stopping you on the side of the road. You don't know if he's planting something on you. You don't know who you're going to meet when you're pulled over because your tail light is broken. But the last thing you should do as a local citizen is make it worse and be combative. That's one thing I have to say. The last thing you need to do is give them a reason to act in such a manner towards you, because that's the last thing you want on the side of the road where nobody's looking, where no citizens are around to see or record. The last thing you want is a confrontation with a possible officer who are like the goons I'm about to talk about. And we're talking about the 6 pieces of shit officers. They're not officers no more. They're criminals. 6 Mississippi police officers who tortured 2 black men. 2 black men. And the reason I'm saying the color of their skin is because a lot of people who got at me for me reacting to a lot of riots that BLM caused. And let me state this. The reason I reacted to the BLM riots the way I reacted is because the idiots were not acting in good favor of the people they were trying to support. They were acting in favor for themselves, because not only did they loot for the new Louis Vuitton bag or the new Air Jordans, they also damaged and sabotaged a lot of people's livelihood, meaning their cars, their stores, their businesses. This is why I reacted the way I reacted to the riots that were plaguing the United States. But it's situations like this that happen in Mississippi that causes riots like that. when our authorities, our police officers who have taken an oath to uphold the law, people who have taken an oath to protect their citizens, can commit an act of violence this egregious, makes you think twice to who these people are hiring to become police officers. Don't you go into a mental evaluation before you get hired as a police officer? I believe so. And they can detect this type of behavior. This type of behavior can be detected. Let's continue. A federal judge has postponed sentencing for 6 former Mississippi law enforcement officers who pleaded guilty to a long list of federal charges for torturing 2 black men in January. Let's take note that this happened in January. Sentencing is taking way too long. These men should not be given any type of court at all. At all. They should be treated like the animals they are, despite our legal system. Let's continue. Sentencing had been scheduled to begin November 14th, but U.S. District Judge Tom Lee wrote in a Friday order that the court would delay it in response to motions from some of the former officers. Their attorney said they needed more time to evaluate pre-sentencing reports and prepare objections, the judge said. Freaking joke. Let's continue. Lee has not yet rescheduled the sentencing hearing, but some of the former officers requested it be delayed until December 15th. For what reason? We need absolute justice for these 2 men. And let me state this right now before people get out of pocket. Michael Corey Jenkins, and Eddie Terrell Parker, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were committing a crime. Whatever the case may be, I have to absolutely agree with the fact that they did not deserve this type of torture from 6 freaking individuals who have no remorse for the value of life. Let me state this. If for some reason they was holding this woman captive, because obviously reports have been released that it was not their home. If they was holding this woman captive, raping her continuously, whatever the case may be, then yes, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be like, they got what they got. But obviously that's not the case, because none of that has been reported to be that. But for some reason, this is why I find the next part of this report kind of interesting and needs to be investigated, because, maybe the media is not exposing the entire truth. Because let's continue. After a neighbor told one of the former officers that the 2 were staying at a home in Braxton with a white woman, he assembled a group of 5 other officers. They burst into the home without a warrant and assaulted Jenkins and Parker with guns, a sex toy, and other objects. Now let's back this up. After a neighbor told one of the former officers that the 2 were staying at a home in Braxton with a white woman, he assembled a group of 5 other officers. So the neighbor was an officer. The neighbor was an officer, and he got his 5 other goon squads. Because they had a name. It wasn't the Avengers. It was the Goon Squad. These pieces of shit actually called themselves the Goon Squad. And for a reason that we're going to discuss later on. There's a reason they called themselves the Goon Squad. You're going to laugh at the reason. Later on, we will discuss it. But let's continue with the matter at hand. They burst into the home without a warrant and assaulted Jenkins and Parker with stun guns, a sex toy, and other objects. Prosecutors said in court, reading a lengthy description of the abuse. Take a listen to this. Take a listen to this. The officer taunted the men with racial slurs and poured milk, alcohol, and chocolate syrup over their faces. After a mock execution when Aubrey and Jenkins were shot in the mouth, they devised a cover-up that included planting drugs and a gun. Let's air horns. Let's air horn that situation right there. After a mock execution when Aubrey and Jenkins were shot in the mouth, they devised a cover-up that included planting drugs and a gun. Now, this is why people react the way they react when they get pulled over on the side of the road. Because you do not know what type of officer you're going to meet. And like I stated earlier, this is why, as a citizen, do not give them a reason. Do not give them a reason. Act accordingly. Do not come out of character because you got pulled over. Because you don't know what type of officer you're going to meet. And if it's one of these pieces of shits that pulls you over on the side of the road, especially when there's no type of witness that can watch what transpires on the side of that road, act accordingly. Don't give them a reason. Because you don't know where you might end up. Because they can shoot you and all of a sudden plant a gun on you. They can shoot you and plant a gun on you. You just never know. The conspiracy unraveled after one officer told the sheriff he had lied, leading to confessions from the others. So one of the officers actually had an epiphany. And he confessed to the lies that were being told, which allowed the arrest of the 5 other officers. So they could have gotten away with this whole ordeal. They could have gotten away with it. For some reason, God planted an ounce of remorse into one of these officers, and they basically told on themselves. They ratted on the 5 others. They could have gotten away with this. And what boggles my mind is what I'm about to read now, which is going to blow your freaking socks off. Former Rankin County Sheriff's deputies Breck McAlphin, Hunter Elwards, Christian Dedman, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel Updike, and former Richland City Police Officer Joshua Harfield, who was off duty during the assault. Mind you, they were not even on duty. They were off duty when they committed this heinous act. Off duty. So it was already illegal. Pleaded guilty to numerous federal and state charges, including assault, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. Take a listen to this, folks. Take a listen to this. The charges followed an investigation by the Associated Press that linked some of the deputies to at least 4 violent encounters with black men since 2019. Now, let's take a look at this, right? These people have a resume. These goon squads have a resume. Now, why wasn't that looked at more closely? Why weren't these officers taken off the road? There's and I'm not saying that every encounter deserves a deeper dive to be investigated. Things happen out there. There are ignorant people. There are criminals. Absolute. But, like I said, don't people go into some type of testing that involves an evaluation of their mind before they get hired? So I guess that evaluation before you got hired doesn't work, huh? Because when you have guys like this that can commit and act like this, you have to reevaluate your testings. Because obviously they're not working. They're not working. if you have officers that can commit this. And listen, and I don't know if one of those officers, and I'm going to say this. Let's take a deep dive and rewind to what I've just read above. Let's be patient. We will continue, but let's rewind. After a neighbor told one of the former officers that the two were staying at a home in Braxton with a white woman, he assembled a group of 5 other officers. Now, the fact that this assault involved stun guns and a sex toy, this was a personal attack. This wasn't random. This was personal. I don't know if the media is not revealing everything, but this was a very personal attack. There's no way officers are going to go to this length and to this type of brutality if it's not personal. I don't know if one of the officers had a crush on a woman. I don't know if one of the officers used to date that woman and now they're jealous because they found a new lover who's black. So he took it upon himself with the rest of his damn goon squad to attack the 2 individuals that were tortured to that degree. This was a personal attack, folks. This wasn't random. Obviously, it wasn't random because this was planned. But this was personal. Maybe the media will come out with more. But let's continue. In a statement to AP on Tuesday, attorney Malik Shabazz said he hoped the sentencing will happen soon. Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker are urging that the sentencing for the Goon Squad members take place as quickly as possible. Shabazz said, "We are urging justice for Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker in every way." I don't know what more can be done other than a quick sentencing. They agreed to prosecute a recommended sentencing ranging from 5 to 30 years. Although the judge isn't bound by that, time served for separate convictions at the state level will run concurrently with the potentially longer federal sentences. Michael Goldberg is a corps member for the Associated Press report for America's State House News Initiative. Listen, I don't go into the deep dive when it comes to accurate sentencing when it comes to the state or federal level. But whatever the case may be, a combined sentencing of the two should be more than should be in combined about 30 to 40 years for this act. Which basically means they will die in jail. They will die in prison. And I think that's a proper sentencing. They shouldn't get life, but 30 to 40 years, that will be basically life. And that's what they deserve. That's what they deserve. There's no way this can be taken lightly. No way. They should be put under the jail cell. And like I said, this was a personal attack. Obviously, we know the media has an agenda all the time. I don't know why the 2 black men were in the house of a white woman. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were committing acts of crimes themselves. But the fact that it hasn't been reported that they were, I'm going to take the stand and say that these 2 men were innocent and not doing nothing but hanging out with a white woman who happens to be white and that they're friends with. One can only assume one of them had a relationship with her. That's the only thing I can assume. But I'm not going to jump the gun and say that I know the facts. I don't know the facts. I'm only reading what's been presented. So I'm not going to assume anything, because when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself. So I'm just going to assume that one of them had a relationship with this woman, and that one of the officers had feelings for that woman, and he took it upon himself with the 5 other goon squads to attack these 2 individuals and to torture them in that manner because it was personal. Let me say again, and let me read what has been printed in front of me to why they call themselves the Goon Squad. Prosecutors say some of the officers called themselves the Goon Squad for their willingness to use excessive force and cover up attacks. Now let's take a deep dive into that. This tells you that they gotten away with a lot more than what they've been caught. Because when you usually catch somebody doing something, it's not their first time, and that statement remains to be true. It's a proven fact. When you catch somebody doing something, it's not their first time. When somebody catches me doing something, it's not my first time. I'm going to add myself into that category because it's a proven fact. When you catch somebody stealing, it's not their first time stealing. When you catch somebody lying, obviously it's not their first time lying, because everybody lies to a certain degree. I don't want to talk. Let's not all try to be saints and be like, I never lied. Everybody lies to a certain degree. Obviously, there are pathological liars out there that are just crazy with it, but everybody lies to a certain degree. But when you catch somebody doing something heinous or to the level of being almost undescribable because you don't even want to think about it, it's not their first time doing it. It's the first time they got caught. And these officers planting and covering up attacks consistently, especially with the investigation that went on in 2019, it's not their first time doing it. It's the first time they got caught. And I don't know which one of these officers confessed to that attack that happened in January. I don't know who it was. They didn't say who it was. They didn't say who was the rat. But that officer, despite him coming out and having some type of remorse and ratting on the 5 other officers, that guy, not only is he going to be completely alone when he goes to jail, he's also going to be known as a rat, and he's going to get completely obliterated behind the cell. Completely obliterated. Not only are you a rat, not only are you racist, but the number one thing is that you're a snitch, and you're a cop, and you're behind bars. You are done. You got the 3 strikes. You're a racist, you're a cop, and you're a snitch. You are done. You are done. And don't get me wrong, a lot of us give you props for coming out and having some type of remorse, which allowed the arrest of the 5 other officers. But my man, you are done. You are done when you go into that jail cell. You are done. I feel sorry for you. I actually don't. I mean, you deserve everything you get, despite the fact that you came out and confessed. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys heard about this story. If you haven't heard about this story, obviously you heard it for the first time with me, Black Shy Guy, in my podcast. Make sure you hit the like and why you enjoyed the episode. If you're listening to it on Spotify, because they give you that option, I really appreciate the support. As always, I thank you from the bottom of my heart and sincerely for sitting at my table. I'm out of here. Peace!
Arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of suicidal maniac.